So anyway, Christmas is coming, and I want to start by telling a story about when we were younger, and then I have a Golden Girls trivia thing for you. Which do you want to do first? Do you want to do Golden Girls trivia first, or want to tell a story about?
Listen, we did Golden Girls trivia last time, and I sucked at it. And
well, here. Okay, well, I think you need a card. You need a card, but, unfortunately, you'll get one. Oh, okay, here, you know this one. I know you know this one. If you don't
but now if I don't get it, I'm going to be horrified.
I know, right? You're never going to be able to live it down. You'll be living in shame for the rest of your life. Okay. Here you go. What disease did Dr. Chang diagnose Dorothy as having?
Chronic fatigue syndrome.
There you go. You did it. All right. Who was the couple who thought Dorothy might have been switched at birth with their daughter? I don't remember their names. You will
I forget their names. I remember
Nina and Dominic Bosco.
No.
All right. When asked for advice, how did Dorothy say she would pick a good Elvis impersonator?
I have no idea.
She said, I'd thump on his belly and see if he's ripe. All right. What mountain? Sorry, you know what? Nobody would get these. What mountain near St. Gustav had sculpted losers of presidential elections on it?
I have no idea.
Mount Losenbaden.
Yeah, no, would not have guessed that.
All right. And last but not least, who said, I'll give you some of these cards because I wouldn't know any of these answers either. Who said it's not whether you agree or disagree with somebody, it's whether you could be there for that person when they need you? See, that could be anybody.
Anyway, it sounds like something Rose would say.
I know, right? But it was Sophia. But it does sound like something Rose would say. It's like, like lovey and, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I'm all set.
I got another game from somebody. I don't know what game this is. This is another Golden Girls game. I got this from Nikki, my dog walker. She's amazing. So she came by, and it's basically it's called Any Way You Slice It.
Uh-huh.
And, and it's cheesecake themed. And I guess...
favorite.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big cheesecake fan, but I'm a Golden Girls fan, so we can...
I do. I think I need to put the Golden Girls on. I think my spirit needs a little uplifting. I should put on.
True. And you know what? They're friends. It's thank you for being a friend. You know that it makes me sad, though, that they didn't get along? That always made me really sad that they weren't close.
Yeah.
Opening this thing is, really hard.
Fort Knox. Anyway, so I am having a very hard time getting into the Christmas spirit this year.
Oh, yeah. Why is that?
I don't know. I haven't even gotten my tree yet. Normally we're like that family who we have our tree up November 30th, right? Thanksgiving's over and we are out getting our tree and it's up and it's decorated and I make a big to-do about it. And we have hot chocolate and we, put tinsel on the tree and everybody comes over. And this year it's the 14th. And I'm like, nope, I want a hard pass on Christmas this year.
You know what's funny is I really I like decorating for Christmas. I like Christmas decorations. So honestly, I can't decorate. I try to decorate as if it was I see Martha Stewart do it and
I know.
TV. And honestly, it looks like Christmas decorations vomited all over my house. It never looks beautiful and festive. It always looks like Hobby Lobby just came apart in my house. Here's all the leftover stuff from last year.
Hobby Lobby does a great job decorating their trees. No, I feel like every year I have this grandeur, right? This tree is going to be so majestic and it's going to be so beautiful. And then it's done. It's lopsided. there's all these empty hollow spots where and you're stuffing tinsel in there trying to make it look less empty. And then all the kids put all the ornaments on one side of the tree. So one side's really light and the other side's really heavy. And then you're
balance them out, dude.
This is the ugliest tree I've ever seen.
But it was made with love. Yeah. So Syra and I grew up in Pakistan, and and my mom was from Indiana, and so she did celebrate Christmas, and so we grew up celebrating Christmas also. There was also a school called the Karachi American School, which was a school for expatriates, and there were a lot of Pakistani kids in there too. It was a super, super expensive school. Syra and I
$10,000 a year.
It was expensive, but the only reason we were the same as private school here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the only reason we could go was because my mom taught there, and so we got to go there for free. But anyway, so we had to get there's no pine trees where we were, no Christmas trees where we were growing up, because we grew up in the desert in the south. So Syra, go ahead now, take it away. All right.
Well, it's actually not really the desert because we say it's the desert, but it's actually coastal.
Syra, no, a desert is not defined by where it's located. A desert is defined by the amount of rainfall that it gets in a year.
And we have monsoons. We are not the desert.
5 years.
We're not. Okay,
We do
let's
not
go
get monsoons every year. Look
let's
at
Google
us.
this.
We
Let's
do
go.
not get monsoons every year.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if I'm wrong because there's no deleting this. We're not
I
restarting.
know, right? This is gonna be
Is Pakistan a desert?
not Pakistan, Karachi, Sarah. Pakistan's a big country. Is America a desert?
Is
What kind of question is that?
The Sahara is a desert. Is Karachi? The first thing comes up. Is Karachi safe? Nope.
Nope.
Karachi. No. Pakistan has a desert.
Yeah.
A desert.
Well, Pakistan is not a desert. I never said Pakistan was a desert.
Karachi's not a desert either.
Yeah, but the point is that we didn't have. We're not in. Listen.
Now it's
listen.
okay.
We are okay. All right, we are a desert. Okay, you tell your story. I'm gonna find something on Google that supports my story. Okay, tell your story.
It's not a desert. We lived on the coast.
We lived on a desert on the coast.
You lived on a coastal desert? Are you stupid?
Sarah, do you know the Sahara Desert has a coast too, right? It comes to the end where there is a desert and an ocean.
Really?
I don't know that for sure.
You're miseducating the entire internet right now. Okay. Anyway.
This is how fake news happens.
The Pakistani sisters say the Sahara is
hold on
the ocean.
Okay, I'm looking for the Sahara Desert. Okay, I'm looking it up now. All right, hold on.
So you look, I'm going to tell the
put
story.
This on the screen. You need to tell the story while I'm doing this.
So we grew up in Pakistan.
I forgot what the story is now.
We grew up in Pakistan and we didn't have a Christmas tree. And my mom brought home a Christmas tree from like Walmart or Kmart. It was one of those like 3-piece click together Christmas trees. And it was so sad and like just like really sad fake tree. Anyway, but we had real tinsel. It was like actual tin foil. This stuff weighed so much.
I still have a little bit of it like packed into the ornaments.
It's so good. It was so like the tree was so pathetic. But anyway, my mom.
I'm going to show you a picture of the tree. Actually, you know what? I'll actually slide a picture through when the time comes. Yes.
So I have the picture here.
Oh, hold on. Oh yeah, I have a similar picture. Yep, there's the tree. You can see the pathetic little tinsel in the back, like just the little pathetic tinsel.
That's Manessa. That's my aunt. That's my uncle. Anyway, so then we had the sad tree, right? And whatever. Then my mom got this job at the American school when I was in the 8th grade and Manessa was in the 10th grade.
I really think you're remembering this completely incorrectly, but okay.
You are wrong. So anyway, so mom at that point was like, now she could borrow the Christmas tree from the school because
she was an elementary librarian.
Right. So she would bring home the big tree, the big fake tree. So now we got upgraded from the tiny little tree, which actually now funnily, so this is the tree. Okay. Look at this.
It's so pathetic. Like it's seriously.
It's so bad.
Hold it still. I want to see the star. Is this the star? Can you see, Sarah? Is that the star that we really like? The one that I still have?
Yeah. This is old, dude. This picture is from 1980. Well, apparently, according to this, is from like 1942. But this is not the 40s. This is like or something.
That's a bed sheet on the bottom.
No, but here's a funny story, Manessa. Are you ready? This is the big tree from the school, and it's actually just as bad.
Oh my God.
It's so bad. But anyway, but now this is what we imagine Christmas trees to look like. Yeah. This is Richard Wayne something.
That's our cousin Rick.
Christmas 1969. This was my mother's nephew. But that is what a Christmas tree is, okay? But we had this, and Aunt Georgie had that.
Yeah.
But we were in the desert.
A real tree.
With the monsoons.
Okay, by the way, Sarah, hold on. Please, I'm just going to show this to you, and I'm going to swipe it through so everybody can see it when the time comes. But this is the Sahara Desert. Oh, look at that. What's that? Oh, is that the Atlantic Ocean? Oh, and what's over here? Oh, yeah, that's the Red Sea. Yes, Red Sea, Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, fine.
Desert.
So you didn't perpetuate fake news, so good for you.
Yeah, thank you. I found evidence to support my fake news.
But you did not find evidence to support that Karachi is a desert, because it's not.
One thing at a time.
Listen, you blue-haired maven.
All right, so anyway, so you were saying Christmas tree.
There was no point to that story. It was just
you wasted all of our time with that story that basically just said we had a terrible Christmas tree.
We had a terrible Christmas tree, but we loved that Christmas tree.
We really did.
Even though she was super lopsided and it was weighed down with tinsel, we loved that tree. It was awesome. And then even though we had the supposedly nicer tree from the school, which really now I'm looking at the photograph is
it
just
really seems nicer in my memories.
It's so much better in my memories. So much better. But I'm having the hardest time anyway this year getting into the Christmas spirit. Like usually I make a big deal out of Christmas and like I get crazy about it and I get tons of gifts. And this year I have not bought a single gift for anybody. Like nothing.
Don't get me anything. Can we just give each other peace of mind, please? Like that's.
I'm not giving you anything. I'm totally just.
I appreciate it. Peace of mind is good. But look, you know what?
Oh no. Maybe I'll give you a pair of these earrings because you'd look awesome in these.
With the sterling silver, because I can't wear them.
Sterling silver.
Remember? No, the ones that I have, this ones that you gave
That's because you got the ones I made before I went to Sterling.
Yeah, exactly. So I can only wear them for like a few minutes, and I really like them. They're so soft.
You didn't have the patience to wait. However,
no, I wanted to wear them on my lives.
I will make you a pair that has silver fringe because I know you prefer silver.
Right, I prefer silver. I don't really like gold. No, but like so. You know, here's the thing, and I've also been having trouble getting to the Christmas spirit this year, but no, I want to like go back to like our childhood Christmases for a second, because, you know, one of the things that I think happens as we get older is that Christmas becomes less about us and more about what we can give our kids. Like, I don't have kids, but I know that for me, Christmas is really about
my kids.
Well, no, it's just about, like, for me, as I was growing up, it was about the presents. It was about, you know, in Pakistan, you know, for those of you who don't know, at the end of Ramzan, we have this holiday called Eid, right? It's 3 days of celebration. You say Eid Mubarak, which, Sarah, fun fact, Eid Mubarak means congratulations on Eid. Like, it just seems weird. It doesn't seem weird. Congratulations.
I think it's supposed to be a congratulations for completing Ramzan and, like, the fast.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. I thought it was like congratulations for making it to Eid. You didn't drop dead. But, you know?
No, but that's true. Like, I mean,
because
think about it. You're fasting from dusk till dawn, you know.
Yeah, and you lived through it. Good job.
In the summer months in the desert.
It's very hot and dry.
It was not dry. It was so humid there, Vanessa. Your clothes would stick to you.
The rain. I mean, for the rain.
Do you remember that year where we had the horrible, horrible monsoons and Dad was driving us in the Toyota Corolla, which, by the way, I had a picture of.
And we grabbed the cassettes because the car flooded with water. We had holes in the bottom of our car. So,
that was crazy. And there was like carcasses
water and
in the road.
Just
the amount of disease, like, blech.
There was this, so what happened was our car was really old. We didn't have a whole lot of money. So our car was really old and the bottom of the car had like rusted into holes. And when the monsoons came, the city was not designed to have, it's all done like this. So none of the roads are designed to have good drainage because the monsoons didn't come very rarely. But when they did come, they were very violent. And so this was a violent year, and the car flooded with water, and all of our cassettes were on the floor, you know, because we all listened to cassettes. So we had open cassettes and closed cassettes, and the whole family, like me and my sister and my dad, we all just dove down to like save the cassettes. Like we didn't care about anything else. But you know, like when I think back, so there was this one Christmas that I remember that I'm pretty sure Sarah remembers too. It was a really good Christmas. We actually ended up getting tons and tons of stuff. This was a year when we had money. And so like we got tons and tons of stuff for Christmas. And I remember it so vividly. You know, we got a pink desk that like opens up and, you know, this one here that I'm going to slide in. And then we had, you know, we got dolls, and Sarah opened up this package, you know, it was one of like her 500th present. And she's like opening it up and she's like, what? She's like, this is just tissue paper. And
the funny thing is, I remember that. I remember
doing that. Do you remember how you felt when you thought it was just tissue paper?
I do. I was so disappointed. I was like, what?
Who would give me tissue paper? What is this? Swill.
And I think, what was in it in the end? I think it was actually a doll stroller.
Well, I thought it was just a doll.
It could have been just a doll. It could have been.
If it was a stroller, it was that little blue one that like, you know, had the thing on it.
We have a picture of me actually right before I said.
Right before you opened it, yes.
Yeah.
Then I remember this one Christmas where we didn't have any money and my mom wanted us to have something to unwrap. So Sarah, what did she get us?
It was actually not Christmas. That was our birthdays because it was our birthdays. And we got toothbrushes and sponges. And I got a yellow sponge and you got, I think, a teal one. But it was a cool sponge.
It was a really cool sponge.
Cool. But yeah, it was not a cool toothbrush.
I got nice soap. I got some sort of soap thing like that was shaped in like a rose, and I was really upset that it got.
And I gotta say though, now as a parent, like I think to myself, that must have been so agonizing for mom and dad because, you know, as parents, you know, you want to give your kids everything. And even if it's cheap toys, you know, you want them to have that experience on Christmas where they open their presents and they're so excited. And I think that's one of the reasons why, like for me, I always made such a big deal out of Christmas is because, you know, I wanted to be able to always give my kids those experiences that you and I didn't always have, you know, because I'll never forget the feeling of disappointment I had that birthday where I was devastated that that's what I got. And now I see it from a totally different lens as how bad things must have been, that was the best that they could do. And and knowing mom, you know, and knowing dad as an adult, and now having kids, thinking about how painful that was in that moment for them, you know. But it's a good reminder though, because I think, you know, especially like lately, I mean, my God, I think life sometimes has a tendency like to bring you to your knees, you know. I think everyone has, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but I think most people have in their lives experienced that where it just feels like there's no mercy. like the stress and the pain and the just constant like pressure is unrelenting. But then things like that happen, and I feel like you hit those lows just to remind you that the highs don't have to be very high for them to be good. And I feel like that's something that's so lost, especially these days in our culture and our society. And I was talking to dad, well, I was crying to dad. I was sobbing my face off to my dad the other day. And I was just telling him like how I felt like, you know, I couldn't give the kids the huge Christmas I wanted to give them. And like, you know, I feel so disappointed and this and that. And he said, you know, why? Because you feel like you have to buy into this fantasy of like everything that's about love is about a thing, you know, it's about a possession or an object. And he's like, and it's not, you know, it's, and I thought in that moment about my mom, and I was like, I thought about mom and her not being here anymore. And I'm like, God, you know, I bet you like, even as humiliated as she must have felt in that moment, I bet you she would live that same Christmas, that birthday 100 times over to have 13 years more to have spent with us with Christmases with no gifts, you know, right. That she would trade every gift she ever got, every gift she ever gave. I think anybody suffering from illness, chronic illness would say this, like, look, I will forego presents forever if it means more time with my family, if it means that my mom can be here, if it means that I'm not going to be in pain today. You know, I think, and I think that maybe that's why I'm having a hard time getting into the spirit this year, because the more I think about it, the more I feel like, God, Christmas has just become so not what it's supposed to be about, you know? And I definitely was guilty of, you know, the materialism as a kid myself, and even as an adult. But I think maybe it's because my perspective of it is changing and my perspective of life is changing, in that it's about experiences. It's about time. It's about quality time. It's not about things, but it's such a strange shift because it has been for so long. You know what I mean?
Well, I think, you know, so I think the issue isn't that Christmas has become this. This is what Christmas is. Like, Christmas has been this for a very long time. Every year people are like, we're losing what Christmas used to be. But the fact is, Christmas has been commercialized for most of our entire lives. You know, so like most of us watching this in our, you know, up until you hit like, I would imagine in your 60s, Christmas has been commercialized. People have used it to make money, right? And, you know, I think it's easy for us to like look back with, you know, rose-colored glasses and say, oh, you know, remember back when it was a simpler time. Well, you know what? When it was a simpler time, people were dying of dysentery. Yeah. Like, you know, like you can always go back, and it's easy for us to like idealize these past lives that we've never lived, you know. And I think about that, especially when I think about where we grew up, right? Where the things that you worry about are so different. So like, you know, you can, you know, harken back to living in a simpler time. But I remember in a quote unquote simpler time when we didn't have electricity for half the day, right? So like, you know, you don't have running water, you don't have other things, or you don't have steady income or a job or what have you. And so I think it's like we pick and choose what we're going to be like. I really want to go back to that time when it was like this because it was simpler, but they forget, and we all forget that there was a reason it was simpler. It's because people were busy just trying to survive. The more we get accustomed to living in a more, you know, comfort-based lifestyle, you're no longer concerned with survival. So you start to think about other things like supplementing. And I feel like we have a choice. All of us have a choice as to what we want Christmas to be for us. So I think rather than saying like, I mean, I understand that you're going through this kind of change right now in terms of like the way in which you look at Christmas. But instead of saying like, it's become so commercialized or whatever it is, which I'm guilty of saying 100%, I think we've all said it at some point. Instead, let's think about what Christmas just means to us as individual people. Like if somebody else wants it to be commercialized.
Oh yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
I mean, I know that's not what you're saying, but I'm just saying like, I think that really like Christmas is a time of year. It's just a season. It's an experience. And you get to, like you said, you get to decide what that experience is. But I feel like something that you didn't touch upon was the lessons that we teach our kids. And this has become more and more acute to me over the last couple of years as I've just been observing the flow of money in and out of not just my life, but other people's lives as well. And I've recognized that when we start to make a little bit more money, we start to buy more things. We start to buy more expensive things. We start to give people gifts. We start to give people more expensive gifts and our children more expensive gifts. But ask yourself, like, and I've really been thinking about what kind of lesson this actually sends. Like, what is the message you're sending to your kids? What is the lesson that your kids are learning, right? And I think that there's something to be said for giving people presents and everything being, like there's a lesson there. I love you and I'm giving you stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But on the flip side of it is that, when you give your kids everything that they want every year, what happens? You grow spoiled children. Like that's what happens. You grow children who just
and my kid, definitely.
Things that just show up. And I think that even though it must have been hard for her to do that, the lesson that I learned was more important. So yeah, I was upset as a 10-year-old. I was upset for a day. I'll never forget the way I felt for a day. And then I was totally over it. But now I'm 41 years old and I still have that lesson. So the lesson lasted me a lifetime. So regardless, I would still go back and take that exact same gift. Now, if you'd asked me as a 10-year-old, I'd be like, no, I want my Barbies. But as an adult, the lesson that I got out of it was way more valuable than anything that you could ever wrap.
Well, and it's so funny because I feel like, my kids, when they grow out of toys or whatever, we donate them but they don't give a shit. It's just like, it's just another thing. And it's just like, oh, in and out. And that's where I think I really started to stop and think to myself, it's just like, would you take, what does an LOL doll cost? An LOL doll costs $7.99.
They cost a fortune, those things.
They do, but wow, what a genius marketing idea these guys, right? It's like constantly buying blind. You're literally you have no idea what's in
somebody else that has a model like that.
You have no idea what's in that ball. But these kids keep buying them, and my house is.
You know who keeps buying them? Their parents keep buying them.
I don't buy them anymore. But anyway, Avery, I'm on the live. So, do you want to come say hi?
Please bring her in if you want.
You can come say hi, but then you got to go.
Hi, Ave.
Beastie, I'm not giving you my password.
No, not for your phone. Just your password.
No, I'm not giving you just a password. Okay.
Oh, just give me a password. Just give me the password. It's fine. I'll take your password.
But anyway, and then I think to myself, where is that LOL doll going to end up? Oh, you know where it's going to end up? In the dog's stomach. It's going to end up down the drain, or it's going to end up outside.
How's River, by the way?
She's better. She's much better. She's clinging to me like glue. And so, of course, my hypochondria sets in, and I think to myself, it must be because something terrible is wrong. And then I think
nothing terrible is wrong. Your dog had a seizure. She needs to cling to you.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I remind myself that I'm insane, and
right, you're insane.
I am insane. But anyway, so now I try to think about these things more from the lens of where is this $7.99 gonna end up? And would I take $7.99 and light it on fire? I would not. I definitely would not. And I think that this whole experience of, changing careers and, trying to save for New York and, all these things that I'm trying to do so that I can build a different life, has totally changed the way I look at every single dollar I spend. It's like even something as simple as bread, like in the old days, it would just like, oh, that bread, I'm just gonna throw it out. It's just like, it's whatever. And then I stop and I think about it and I go, you know what? Like that turkey that you didn't eat, costs $11.99 and there's half a bag left. That means you may go to your wallet and take out $5.99 and throw it in the trash. Like, would you ever do that? Like you would never, no one in their right mind would take.
I started thinking about exactly the same thing. It's like I have a chicken. I'm like, okay, I paid $4.99 for this rotisserie chicken. I'm going to eat every last shred of chicken on there. Even if I hate dark meat, I'm still going to do it because my gosh, I don't want to throw away $2.
Right. And it's just, it's a good lesson. And I think my kids are learning that too, because I'm trying to teach them to be, and I think this is something you and I have talked about a lot the last few days, is this mindfulness, where I think it's just easy. It's easier to just not pay attention, because when we don't pay attention, we don't have responsibility. And I think it's hard when you stop and think about the level of responsibility you have, when if you really stop and think about the fact that that turkey that you just threw away is actually $5.99, it just totally changes your relationship with that food, right? Instead of saying, someone wrote to me the other day and said, I eat out a lot. And I said to her, I was like, and you said this to me, like, if you aren't motivated by anything else, just add up how much that cost you. Add up for the last year, every time.
That is the worst exercise ever.
It's horrible. It is horrible, because every time you go out, like, you can literally, like, Butch and I have been doing this whole thing where we're like, we're not eating out at all. Like, maybe once every other week we'll go out, but like, other than that, we are not going out. And it's crazy when we did the math, like how much money you spend on just going to the grocery store and making your own food, as opposed to having to take, and Butch said this to me, he was like, do you realize how expensive it is to go out to eat? Forget the money. Think about the time. In the car you're driving, then you're waiting, then you're eating, then you're back in the car, then somebody's got to stop to get gas, and somebody has to pee, and then you finally get home.
Food is mediocre at best.
At best. And so it's like a 3-hour endeavor when you could, and you're like, I just don't have the energy to cook at home. Really? But you have the energy to spend 3 hours going out to eat? You will be done in 30 minutes if you do it at home. Because at least at home, you can multitask, you can be like, I'm going to be cooking here, and then I'm going to be working here. It's like you're doing stuff. But if you go to the restaurant, you're just like, oh my God, you know what just happened to me? I totally had the taste of KB's for some reason.
KB's ice cream. KB's ice cream is ice cream Sarah and I used to eat when we were younger. And
weird.
We got it from like a little hut kind of place down the street. I mean, it really, like, you can't really describe it.
We shouldn't have eaten there. It probably was very unsafe.
It was probably, there's no like health department.
No sanitation.
It was so, honestly, like, it actually, in my memory, it tasted good, but it would leave this film of fat on the roof of your mouth where you have to like scrape the fat off of your tongue and like spit it out the window. It
was real ice cream. But funny story. KB's is now 4 stories tall.
No kidding. I should have him on take a picture and send it to us.
Oh, you should. It is, like Dad said, like the hot spot to go to. But did you know KB's? But did you know
so weird.
Xenon is no more?
Xenon is no more? Oh my goodness. We used to have the best dinners there. That's where we would eat out as kids, and that was a special occasion.
You would come in the tin foil and you'd squeeze.
So good. You get like a garlic naan inside like tin. Oh, it's so good. It was so good. And they made like this great chicken noodles, not chicken noodle soup. Chicken corn soup that was like so good.
And you dumped like tons of Tabasco in it. So basically,
I still do that with egg drop soup. I'll just pour like tons of Tabasco and then it's so good. But, I just drink the Tabasco. It's fine.
I know. Do you remember when you would be eating the chicken though, and sometimes a piece of tinfoil would get left in the chicken, and you'd be like, "What is that?" And it was worse for me because I had fillings that were metallic. It was horrible. I still remember the feeling in my mouth. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, I still feel, well, dude, did you know that I electrocuted myself when I was a kid? So in Pakistan, the outlets are round. So you have like, it looks like this, right? 2 round outlets. I mean, they're the same size as an outlet here, but just they're circular. And I learned how to wire a lamp when I was probably like 6 or 7. I just watched somebody basically, because what happened was the lamp had shorted out. So I watched this dude unscrew the plug, because the plugs here, they're all sealed up. You can't do anything. But the ones there, they have a little screw that you can unscrew. You open it up and you can see the copper wires coming out, like folded and whatever. And so I saw him fix the lamp. So I started fixing our own lamps. So like when I was like 6 or 7, when lamps would go out, not because of bulbs, but because of wiring, I would just unscrew it, fix it, and plug it back in. Super safe. It gets better. But I also learned that if the plug itself was broken, that the wire was connected to, then what you could do is you could just get rid of the plug thing altogether, have 2 copper wires, stick them in the thing, and take 2 matchsticks, shove them in the holes, and then it would stay there and the light would stay on. Okay, so that is what I used to do and you remember that, Sarah. You'd fold the copper in half so it would stay in there and then you'd shove it in. Well, when I was about, I don't even know, like probably 8 or 9, I wrapped the copper wire in, shoved it in the hole, and then some of the copper was sticking out. So when I went to shove the matchstick in, I touched the live copper wire, electrocuted myself, my teeth, it was the teeth. like, I will never forget the feeling in my teeth of being electrocuted by 220 volts. It was horrible.
Yeah, no. And I don't know if you remember the time that Dad, it was not, maybe it was the first time you and I went back after I came to Emerson, but Dad had us bring back some computers for him, and we plugged them into the 220 and it blew up.
Fried them. Yes. That was
Oh
before they had the automatic, like you used to have to plug things into like voltage changers.
Yep. Those we call them transformers.
Yep. They were huge. We had them in every room, these big, heavy transformers.
It had a little orange switch and it only had 2 plugs.
220, 110.
Yep. And then that was it.
You needed a 220 plug.
Yeah, I know. Why would you need a 220 plug if you're in a 220 culture, right? Like country, it's like,
who knows?
I don't know.
Okay.
So I used to get electrocuted by the phone because I remember the phone for some reason. What was up with those wires? Like, you know, and it was like electrical tape, and then it was what?
Dude, the phone situation was this. So this is an interesting story. The people in the squad know this story. So when we moved to 113D, so where we lived, it was one of the houses that Sarah and I lived in when we were growing up, and it was the last house that I lived in Pakistan before moving over to the States, and I was dating this dude and I was obsessed with him, totally obsessed with him. And our phone was, or my parents didn't want me talking to him really late at night because I would basically talk to him all night and then I'd be tired at school. So they were like, you can't talk to him at night. You have to go to bed at 10 o'clock. And I was like furious because my parents were keeping me from the true love of my life. And so what I did is I basically rewired the entire house phones so that I could at night unhook the phone from their room. I could do it from outside, and then I could rewire the phone right outside my window so that now when he called, it would ring in my room and not in their room. And then after we would talk, I talked to him till like 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I just go rewire everything.
What the hell did you talk about?
I don't know.
Like, I wonder about this sometimes. Like, all the hours I spent on the phone, what the hell?
I can't think of a single thing to talk about these days. I can't
think of a single thing. Like, I mean, half the time, I swear I've turned into mom. Like, our mom was, this was the typical mom thing, right? The phone would ring, you'd pick it up, and it would be like, oh, hi, this is, Ann Terriani calling for, Bobby. And it would be like, no, I'm sleeping. She'd be like, no.
Well, because she had such bad social anxiety.
Like, she hated it. She was so crippled by it. She was just, because I think she would think to herself, what am I going to say? I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to have nothing to say. And then I'm going to feel humiliated and embarrassed because I have nothing to say because I'm not interesting. Like, that was totally where her mind would go.
Totally.
But now I'm the same way. It's like my phone rings and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to answer it. It's like, I don't want to talk to anyone because it just takes a lot of energy. Like poor Eliza came home today. I wish I could channel her energy. She comes home right for this podcast. She goes, Mom, like, I wish I had taped her. Mom, I had the best Friday ever. Like, this is how she says it to me. And I'm like, oh, well, you got to tell me all about it. Okay. I'm thinking this is like,
that was a mistake.
I'm thinking 10 minutes tops, right? 10 minutes tops. I can totally listen to 10. Nope. I literally was told in like significant detail about every person who played tag, how they play lava tag, where they were on the structure at school when they were playing this tag, who her best friend, other best friend, and kind of best friend, and new best friend from a different school is now come, who they're already best friends. I was like, oh my God, what is happening right now? This is like being in the Twilight Zone. And then I think she's done. Oh no, she's not. She goes, okay, that was tag. Then,
meanwhile, I'm sitting here waiting for her to join the podcast. She's like, it'll be a few minutes. I'm like, okay, I'll wait. Like 20 minutes later, it's just like.
So finally I had to go, Eliza, like, Eliza, I love you, but oh my God, like but she just had so much energy. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I would need a nap. Like, if I had to recap my day in that level of enthusiasm, like to somebody by the end of it, and I mean, end of it, like 10 minutes in, I'd be like, okay, I need a nap.
It's like, I can't talk to people. It freaks me out. Like,
it totally freaks me out.
When people start talking, I'm always just like, I'm just like, I get scared and I don't know why. Like, so most of the time I'm fine, but if I'm taken aback or by surprise, you can see the look on my face. Like, if I'm not expecting to see someone.
Yep.
Like, I saw one of our friends at Mystery Science Theater, and even though she's a lovely person, I was not expecting to see anybody I knew. So I was just like this. And I think I said something like, dude, babies, they're so small, because I literally said something like that, and then I ran away. And and all I can think about god, oh my gosh, she's such a sweetheart, and like she must have thought I was a complete whack job because I have such anxieties just
I know,
around.
and it's so funny though. Like I could get up and talk in a room of like 30,000 people and not break a sweat, but one-on-one, I'm like, peace out. Like, can't do it. See you later.
See, I'm fine with it unless, like I said, I'm taken by surprise. Like if I know, it's totally fine. But if I'm just like, if somebody runs into me at the grocery store and says hi, that's they're getting and things like, Sky, that's pretty blue today, isn't it? You know, because I can't. Like I don't know why I get freaked out.
I do too.
Okay, so we are nearing the end of this this week's episode of Mush Talk. We're going to close the episode today by talking about one of our favorite songs. We got a song of the day. Okay, our song of the day today is going to be Last Christmas by Wham.
Wham.
By Wham. Last Christmas by Wham.
Last Christmas.
I gave you my heart,
and the very next day,
it away.
This year,
from tears.
And that's it.
Come on, you're gonna end it.
Someone special.
La, 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 la.
Those songs were so bad. They were so
my
good.
Gosh, dude! But here's the thing: I loved Wham. I remember when "Wake Me Up" came out.
Oh my God!
And
so
I
good.
was like, only the coolest kids in the world wore like those fluorescent clothes with he had like what was it, yellow wristbands, like dude, and that is in the shorts, the Magnum PI shorts.
Oh my God,
So
Magnum PI shorts.
Seriously, if any of you guys love Wham, you have got to give us you've got to give us some kinds of emojis here because we all love our Last Christmas. We love our Last Christmas. I was so sad. Like I think didn't they both die? I know
I
that.
don't think so. I think only
George Michael, he died. Oh, I'm so upset about
but
that.
here's the thing, like who knew? Like when you watch those videos though, like the Wham video, like he was cute. George Michael, but in those videos, you just kind of want to pinch his cheeks. You're like, oh, he's adorable. But then he comes out with, father figure, and he comes out with freedom, and he's like the
freedom out, and you're like, wow.
And I'm like, wait a second, who are you?
Well, what's funny is because they look so old when they were younger. Like I was 8 looking at them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so old. And now I look at them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're just babies.
Oh my God, they were so young. Like you look at like Huey Lewis, or you look at they're just like Billy Idol. I mean, they're like
Billy Idol. I was listening to Catch
like
My Ball the other day.
Oh, such a good song.
Oh, that reminds me, Syra. Okay, so for those of you who ever watched The Lost Boys, I have to tell you something, and then we're going to wrap up on this one, okay? I discovered that the song I Still Believe from The Lost Boys is actually a cover of another song.
I know this. We knew this.
I didn't know that. How did you know that?
We discovered this like 5 years ago. You were like, you were rediscovering what you discovered is memory loss.
I have discovered that I have memory loss.
You are Dory.
Dory, what? 22 Wallaby Way.
42 Wallaby Way, Sydney.
I remembered. I still haven't seen Finding Dory.
What?
I haven't seen it. I just didn't realize that until just this moment.
Okay, before I go, because I really do have to go. But we watched Moana the other day, and I don't know if you've seen Moana, but if you haven't, you really should. But The Rock is in it, and he's so fantastic. But it took them, they started the concept of that movie in 2011, and they didn't release it till 2016, I think. It took them that long. Wow. They went back and forth to all the Polynesian islands. I think they said like dozens of times because they wanted to really like capture the culture. Like they wanted Polynesian girls to see Moana.
Well, that's nice.
This is my life, and they actually came up with all these new ways of animating because like if you watch it, you'll see, like even just Google it and watch a snippet of it, you see how they've animated the hair. Like you think about Jungle Book, like from when we were younger, and you look at this and you're like, oh my God, what they have done. I should scat the entire, that whole song. Isn't that what that's called?
What? Scat? You mean like the singing version?
Yeah. Is that, wait, well, that's not scat. It's something else. What was the King Louis song? Louis Prima.
Yes, no, I believe that's what it's called.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. From
you know what? You and I could literally do the whole song.
Hold on. Hold on. How does it go?
We'll do it next time.
Okay, next time we're gonna do the whole King Louis song next time.
Next time we'll talk about Disney movies and all the times that we Well, just movies, kids movies and stuff like Wizard of Oz.
Sure, we can do movies next time. All right, thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going with this. You're watching this as a premiere. We hope you enjoyed watching this, going through this with us, because we're actually watching with you, by the way. So the way that the premieres work is we get to play it, but then we all watch it live, and then we get to interact with you while we're watching each other, so we can now be part of the community. So it's really, really exciting. So we're premiering this. You're watching the premiere version on Facebook. If you want to learn how to do your own premiere, you can check out the videos in the video section of Direct to Success, or you can check out my YouTube channel at Direct to Success on YouTube, and the video will be there to show you how to do your own premiere. And in the meantime, if you also want to get earrings like the one Sarah's wearing, Sarah, show off your earrings, please.